in Rawalpindi. His family are extremely concerned for his well-being, and Athers spoke to his two sons yesterday.
Kasim Suleiman, welcome to Lord's, first of all. I know you've been here before, but have you been in the pavilion before?
No, never been in the pavilion.
No, very, very cool kind of zone to be in, so yeah, appreciate it.
And we came past your dad's portrait in there, which is sitting very proudly in the long room. Emma Sargent's painting of him. What did you've seen that before or not?
Only on TV, yeah, seeing the players walk through the long room. But yeah, it's cool to see it in person. What
do you feel when you see something like that? Because we're obviously in a cricket environment where your dad, you know, had many great moments.
Yeah, definitely a sense of pride, obviously, but we're quite used to him being kind of the centre of attention in any kind of cricket sphere. But always, I mean, it's amazing to see, you know.
When did you last see him in the flesh?
It was November 22, after there was an assassination attempt on him and he was shot a few times in the leg. That was the last time we were able to go out and see him. So coming up to 4 years.
And so after that, he's been in jail just a little over 3 years now. When did you last speak to him?
In March. So we got to speak to him, yeah, around 5 or 6 months ago. And since then, it's been radio silence. I'm not sure whether that's because of our call or them just tightening the restrictions on him and furthering this kind of sense of isolation and torture.
And the broader family, the family that are in Pakistan, what's their access to him at the moment?
No one, until last week, no one's been able to see him, been allowed to see him for 10 months, despite them going to the jail every week to attempt to see him. The court have ordered that he have weekly family visits, but no one's seen him for 10 months until last week.
Pakistan government say you're welcome to go and see him. Just explain why you haven't and your reluctance to do that.
Well, we've tried multiple times. The visas essentially are blocked. The visas we apply for are blocked for technical reasons, they said at one point. They're stalled in others. And essentially they just clearly don't want us to go for one reason or another. Maybe out of fear that we're gonna be active and try to support the efforts of getting him out from over there, which I guess has just led to them stalling or rejecting.
But to be clear, if you did get the visa, you would feel comfortable in going, you wouldn't be fearful of going?
I don't think there's probably a small risk that we'd be arrested, but ultimately we just want to see him at this point, even if it's not to make any sort of noise and just minimal publicity. Yeah, we just want to see him because we're getting incredibly concerned about his situation.
When you did speak to him over the phone, how did he sound?
He's always upbeat. He's always kind of his usual self. Very kind of very keen to hear how we are, how our family is, how everyone is, you know, in the outside world, and very kind of, you know, speaking very quickly, because every time we have one of these calls, they're cut off randomly. You never know how long we're going to get. Somewhere approximately around 20 minutes, but it's been as short as 6 minutes before. So he's very quick, you know, frantically trying to ask us questions, and if we try and ask him how he is, very quickly he shuts it down, you know, with, you know, I'm fine, or, you know, it doesn't matter, but anyway, how are you, what's going on, telling us life lessons, how we can kind of, you know, improve or go towards our goals, things like that.
So did he complain at all about the state of his health, or indeed the treatment he's getting, or the conditions in which he's being held in?
He did. He had an eye issue. I think he's lost about 80% of the vision in one of his eyes. So he told us about that. He told us that he complained about it for months, and it was being ignored. It wasn't getting proper treatment. But he's not really one to complain in general. So that was when we would press him and ask him about how his health is. We know that his general conditions aren't great. It's a very small cell. He isn't allowed new books, so he's kind of going through the same books that he's had since his first 6 months in there. You know, it's a hot cell in the summer with no proper kind of air conditioning and stuff like that. So.
And I just add, the last time he was able to speak to our aunties and anyone else, he did say that the conditions have severely worsened recently, that he's been relating it to other political prisoners who have been killed, I guess you would say, or have died in prison. And right now it's worse than ever. They're completely isolating him more than 23 hours a day in a cell. So right now, it's really crucial for us that he gets proper treatment. When he was seen by them, he had an eye patch on from the eye situation. He seemed visibly stressed, and that is something that's very hard for us to imagine, because he embodies kind of calm, a very calm, assured presence every time I've ever seen him, even in very, very tough situations, including being at gunpoint once when we were, there was a kind of robbery in the car we were in. I remember he was completely assured. He was the calmest person there, including the robbers or anyone like that. So to hear him stressed, anxious or disturbed is very, very difficult to hear.
So there's a sense of urgency, it sounds like now. Last week came a Supreme Court order to take your dad to a private hospital for medical assessment and treatment. First of all, when that order came from the Supreme Court, did that raise your hopes in any way?
I'd say yes. There was a sense of relief, but I'd say we were cautiously optimistic, because there have been so many court orders that have been completely ignored by the establishment. So our fears were kind of confirmed when, instead of being taken to the private hospital that the Supreme Court ordered he was meant to be taken, he was just taken to a government medical facility for a few hours and then taken straight back to jail. So yeah, our fears were confirmed.
So on that visit to the government hospital, he wasn't checked over by his own physicians, which was part of the Supreme Court order?
No. So he was checked on by government-selected physicians, doctors, things like that. It was a short checkup. It was frustrating for us, especially because we were getting messages over and over again saying, congratulations, you must be so happy that he's being dealt with, that he's getting checked up. In reality, it was an hour checkup by government officials who said, great, he's okay, and then said, we're going to now send him to the independent hospital, Shifa, and instead they just left all of the doctors waiting, our auntie waiting, who's a doctor, and just went straight back to jail. So extremely frustrating, that element especially. He still hasn't been properly checked up by an unbiased independent physician or doctor, and it just makes us think, what are they hiding? Why are they so fearful of allowing him to get reported on by an unbiased and neutral doctor? And
is the fear over the eye the most urgent fear, or is it more of his general health and well-being?
I think it's his general health and well-being at this point as well. We thought the only thing we'd heard over the last 10 months, because no one's been able to see him, is the fears about his eye. But now we've heard that he's got rising blood pressure due to kind of just the stress of isolation and solitary confinement, which, like Qasim said, is really worrying for us, because he's probably the least anxious, least stressed person I've ever met. So that was really, really disturbing to hear.
It took both of you a while, since your dad's been in jail, to start being very active in the media about your dad. What was the moment that prompted a change of policy, if you like, from you both?
I think it was the kind of the stagnation. It was just, it got to, when he first went in, we were used to kind of things happening with him which were unordinary and kind of dangerous, and him getting shot, him falling off the top of a platform, assassination attempts, multiple. And so when he first went to prison, we thought it was going to be probably a short stay, and then as often happens in Pakistan. But then as time passed, it kind of just dragged on, and it felt more and more helpless as it kind of went out of any of the newspapers. He was still there. We eventually just thought, if we can make any kind of difference, then it's probably a time to act. And now it really feels like there's a kind of, this is a moment that we need to kind of jump on, because they're not even acting with much strategy anymore. It's very, very clear what they're doing, which is they're just blatantly trying to kind of kill him in there. They just want to keep him in there as long as possible and hopefully just silence him.
Have your pushback, I mean, the letters that the captains sent in February and now get no response to, do you sense that what you are doing is having much effect, if any?
It's hard to say. At times it seems like it is making an impact, because sometimes they retaliate. There was a time when, after we did our first interview, they blocked calls that we were having, semi-regular calls once every 2 months or so. Then we went a kind of long, kind of four-month period, and then, they seem to retaliate in ways. They respond publicly, and that almost, I would say that sort of gives some element of hope that they are taking notice. But the way that they are run, it's like a military dictatorship. It is, they have all power in Pakistan. So even with the pressure we're putting on, they have the final say. So it's difficult to know what is going to really push the needle with them.
Have you been disappointed there hasn't been any official help here from the UK government? I noticed both your mum, your uncle Zach, were calling for more help from the UK government the other day. I think the head of the all-parliamentary Pakistan group had sent a letter to the Pakistan Prime Minister some months ago, but nothing official from the UK government.
Yeah, I'd say we have been disappointed. There hasn't been, whenever we've reached out to the Foreign Office or the previous Foreign Secretary, there's just been such a feeble response. They say sort of, oh, that's terrible to hear, we sympathise with you, and then we hear nothing.
We're hoping that maybe with the new Foreign Secretary, with Ed Miliband, we might have a little bit more success and hopefully be able to see him.
What about the cricket community? I mean, captains have sent a couple of letters. It's pointedly not got any of the great Pakistan cricketers on it, but would you understand the difficulties from their perspective, why that becomes almost impossible to do?
Yeah, first of all, you're obviously one of the former captains who signed that letter. We really appreciate that gesture. It's incredibly helpful just to create more noise. But also, I do understand the former Pakistani cricketers. I know that a lot of them revere him, but it's just so difficult for them to voice their real opinions in what's basically a military dictatorship, where there are serious crackdowns on any sort of dissent.
We're here at Lord's. It's a cricketing environment. That was one part of your dad's life, and then obviously his life took a very different direction. With him sitting in jail now for the best part of 3 years, and given what's happened to him, do you ever regret, as his sons, that was the direction his life took, and he could have perhaps had a very easy time of it in the commentary box or something after the end of his career? Or do you just accept that that was his calling and that's what he had to do?
I think for him, it is who he is, you know, it's pretty much as long as we've known him. Because he entered politics from as young as I can remember, and seeing him as someone who is so passionate about ridding Pakistan of corruption, pulling people out of poverty, and hopefully bringing Pakistan out of the kind of rut it's in, that kind of ambition, that drive, and the nobility of that is something I admire more than anything about him. And I don't think he would want to live any other life than kind of fighting for what is right in Pakistan and hoping to fix the country that he feels very, you know, passionate about. So no, I wouldn't say so. Obviously, there's a part of me that would have loved for him to be, you know, with us the whole time, playing cricket with us or whatever, when we'd be a lot better, I'm sure. And it would be obviously amazing to have our father around the whole time, but we got to see him a lot when we went over to Pakistan. I don't think it would be fair to the people of Pakistan to rid them of what he's trying to do and has been doing for them.
Final question, you're coming Friday, you're both coming Saturday, you were born in England, your dad kept in Pakistan. Who are you barracking for this week? Who are you supporting?
It has to be Pakistan. England against anyone else, but...
Same for you, Cass?
Yeah, of course, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see. But Pakistan, of course, we always support Pakistan.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Athers were talking to the brothers yesterday. Now, as reported by AP, the Pakistan government response, it rejects allegations of mistreatment or medical neglect. Imran Khan is being detained as a convicted prisoner, held in a 7-cell compound with exercise facilities, access to home-cooked food, books and television, received 900+ visits since imprisonment in 2023, returned to prison after doctors found him medically fit. So that's reported by AP. We reached out to the UK government for comment. Foreign Commonwealth Development Office statement: Pakistan's judicial process are a domestic matter in which the UK does not interfere. UK ministers and regularly raised with Pakistan need to uphold Pakistan's constitution and international human rights obligations, including with respect to Imran Khan. We have offered the Pakistan government further right of reply. Michael, of course, who did that interview with the brothers yesterday, is with me. You have also